How's it going, everybody? All right, so I wanted to make a quick video tonight. It's not going to be that quick like earlier, but it's not going to be excessively long either. But I wanted to make a video talking about a couple things. Number one, diving a little bit farther into my reaction to the news earlier that Josh Huff, former now wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles, was released today as a result of, we're guessing, his arrest earlier this week for possessing marijuana and a firearm while also speeding. After the arrest, a day or two later, it was like yesterday, I think it was, Doug Peterson made the comment that Josh Huff, even though he had been arrested, was available to play this week. But then the announcement came earlier today that the Philadelphia Eagles had made the decision to release him. So, Howie Roseman gave a press conference today, at which he basically was just saying, excuse me, that the move to release Josh Huff was what they were saying was in the best interest of the entire organization. Like I said, there's a couple things I want to talk about in this video. The first thing we're going to talk about is a little deeper reaction than the earlier video that I posted regarding this. What my thoughts are on that. Where the Eagles should go from here. And then I want to talk about just a couple other things, and then that'll be the end of this video. So it shouldn't be excessively long. So Josh Huff. I've had mixed feelings about Josh Huff since he joined the roster. He brought some stuff to the table, and when you look at the Eagles' situation that they're in this year with regard to the wide receiver position, Josh Huff, in my opinion, was one of our stronger options. Not just because he was one of the few receivers that seemed to be able to at least catch the ball. He wasn't, large and strong and able to break tackles. But he had some of the better hands on the team in terms of being able to at least catch the ball, So far this year, the times they throw the ball to him, it's usually when he's doing one of those end arounds and they throw it out to him in the flat and he can take off and whatnot. But he's at least catching the ball most of the time. When the ball goes to Nelson Aguilar, Jordan Matthews, Dorial Green Beckham, Trey Burton, a lot of these guys are dropping a lot of wide open passes. And, so Josh had some of the better hands, not good hands, but at least better hands on the team. So he brought that to the table. Not a lot of yards after catch all the time. There's a few times he's been able to break some tackles this year and, scamper for 10, 12 yards. But he had some better hands on the team. So he had that. The other thing he had was some great contributions on special teams. He had a return and for a touchdown. He had a return for a touchdown, and he also, on several occasions, put the Eagles in some pretty good field situations. He was able to break it to midfielder, or even better, into the opponent's side of the field. So, he had some strong contributions to special teams. So, my first reaction when I saw the my Eagles app flash across my phone, saying, breaking news or roster move, Philadelphia Eagles release Josh Huff, my mind immediately goes to, well, I know why this was. It's not a shock, but my mind, my mind immediately goes to, well, you're taking a position that we were already struggling with, and you're making it thinner. So my first thought was, oh God, it was almost like the feeling earlier this year when they traded Sam Bradford. Of not the organization just saying, the hell with the rest of the season, but they're just not making it easier on themselves, letting him go. But then you look at the situation itself, and I can't be mad. I can't be mad. First of all, he wasn't the greatest player. He's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest. He had okay hands. But the point is, any other team letting go of a guy like Josh Huff would be no big deal. For us, it hurts a little bit. But overall, after having a few hours to think about it and kind of composing my thoughts and figuring out how I felt about this, it's kind of a settling on that, yeah, this is probably for the best of the organization. It frees up some space to possibly bring in somebody else. Although trade deadline is now over, you'd have to bring in somebody that isn't currently on a roster or something. I'm not sure about all the rules and how that works, but point being, in the future, you've got a chance to bring in some more talent, some better talent at his spot. And it wasn't shocking, if I was watching a video earlier, posted by DesertEagle90, who I'm going to give a shout out to here in a minute. Watching a video by him earlier, and he said a lot of things that just were kind of common sense. If you, and again, I'm not going to go throwing around. I don't know the circumstances surrounding Josh Huff and his life and why he's carrying a firearm and drugs and whatever. But if you're gonna make the decision to do that, you have to live with the consequences. And Josh Huff actually did a video, or did an interview a day or so ago, where he said, "Listen, I did this. I've already said I'm sorry to Mr. Lurie, to the coaches, to my teammates. I've already apologized, and I know my actions have consequences, and I take responsibility for that." And it's like, okay, well, fast forward to today, and this is one of those consequences that you've now got to live with. I've heard a report that he kind of freaked out and was ranting and raving after he was informed that he was going to be released. But here's the thing: you say you accept the responsibility for your actions and those consequences that are going to come from that. Well, these are those consequences. And if you're going to be speeding while you have a firearm and drugs in a car, you have to, I'm not going to say assume you're going to get caught, but you have to understand that there's a possibility that you could get stopped, and that's on you. You're a grown man. You make your own decisions. And in that interview, he also said, I'm a professional athlete. I have the gun. And listen, I own my own firearm too. I don't have a problem with having a gun in the car. I guess there's a lot of questions as to what state it's registered in. And somebody, Desert Eagle, I thought in his video said something about it being registered in Texas or something. But here's the thing: if you're gonna have a gun, that's fine, whatever. If you're gonna carry it in your car, fine, whatever. If you feel it's needed. I don't live in Philadelphia. I don't know if it's dangerous enough down in that area that you feel like you need one, but if you think you need one, okay, fine, whatever. I'm not going to judge it. If you want to use marijuana, I don't agree with it. I think it should be illegal. It is. Whatever. It's not a judgment. It's just saying that if you're going to be an adult and make those decisions, you've got to live with the consequences of your decisions. And he is now. So, was this the right move? Yeah, I think in the long run it will be. So, you know the rules of the NFL, you know the laws. And the laws state you can't have marijuana. The rules of the NFL are you can't have marijuana. And they also have conduct rules, and you broke them. So, now you're going to live with the consequences. So, my thoughts are, I think he's going to be missed a little bit. It all depends on who they fill the spot with. Now, the Eagles have a couple options. I'm hearing, that Paul Turner is probably going to be next in line, probably should be the next in line. See what he's got. So we'll see what the Eagles decide to do. It's not been announced yet, I don't think. So we'll see what the Eagles have to do, or what they decide to do. But those are my thoughts on Josh Huff. He'll be missed, but you made your bed, now you gotta sleep in it, dude. So best of luck to him. I hope a team picks him up and he's able to have a very successful career. So we'll see. Now, second thing I want to talk about is a couple videos ago I made. It was my reaction video to the Dallas Philadelphia game from this past Sunday night. Right after the game, I posted a video in which I gave my reactions to the game and talked about a couple things. Number one, I said one of the first things I said in the video was questioning a non-call by the officials at the very last play of the game in overtime. And before I dive into what I want to say about that, let me just say that I'm not somebody that's ever done stuff like this, put videos out there, tried to give my thoughts or opinions on anything. So this is still kind of new to me. I mean, if you look through my channel, I've got a whole bunch of different thoughts about different things, different videos in there. I've just recently started diving into posting about football because, I finally, I've been a fan all my life, and I've just finally gotten to the point where I was like, I want to share my comments or my thoughts. Not that anybody cares, but I just recently started doing this. So when you look at someone like me, I normally don't get a lot of views. I don't get a lot of comments. So the video I posted Sunday night is already up to almost 5,000 views, has over 100 comments and stuff, and I'm trying to respond to as many of them as I can. But here's the deal. So I posted that video Sunday night, and one of the first things in the video that I talk about is a holding call that I felt took place on the last play, during the last play of the game in overtime. And in posting the video, I started getting a whole bunch of flack. Now, I know this is YouTube, and that's what happens. I'm fully okay with that. I'm also, I teach communications at a local community college where I live, and I'm all for people sharing their opinions. Hell, that's why I'm doing this on YouTube. So I'm fine with whatever anybody wants to say. Some people I won't even respond to because their comments are just asinine and completely ignorant. So the point I want to make, though, is the video I posted, and this seems to be a recurring theme with a lot of comments that are getting put on my video. A lot of them by Dallas, and they're saying, oh, quit whining about the refs, quit complaining about. First and foremost, if you're coming at me with that opinion, let me state to you, you didn't listen to the video. You may have heard what was said, but you did not listen. You either that, or if I go into my analytics on YouTube, it's just telling me that most people are not watching the full video where I give all the full idea, the full comment behind my thoughts here. So people who are coming out saying, oh, you got to stop whining and moaning about the officials, the Eagles just suck, yada, yada, yada. First of all, if you watch the video and you think, and you came away from the video thinking that I'm saying that the refs blew the game for us, or the refs missing that call cost us the game, or that it's some kind of an excuse to lose the game, and I'm whining over it, you didn't listen to the video. In the video, if you watch it, I clearly state, right after I talk about the penalty, I say that's still no excuse. So it's no excuse for losing the game. I completely agree with that. Eagles had 4 quarters. They were leading by 10 in the fourth quarter. They collapsed. I said that that's no excuse. In the video, I also said that it's part of a bigger idea that I was just sharing, an observation that I was making, and that the bad calls are all over the league this year. And when I said that the Eagles have been getting a lot of bad calls, the end of that sentence is they've been getting a lot of bad calls at the worst possible times. So the observation I was making is that the officiating this year overall in the league has not been very good. It's been some of the worst that I've seen in recent years. So I've had some people come in with thoughtful comments that say, "Oh yeah, I've been a fan for all my life, and you just got to live with that." Listen, I agree with that. I was just making an observation. I'm not in any way, shape, or form excusing the Eagles from the loss because of this blown call. Oh, it's the ref's fault. I'm not saying it's the ref's fault at all. I completely agree it was not. They had 3.5 other quarters to hold and build their lead, and they didn't do it. They had an overtime period where, just by the luck of the coin toss, the Cowboys get the ball first. You know, if that coin lands the other direction, lands tails, and the Eagles get the ball first, who knows what happens. So I'm not blaming it on that one call. I've also had a lot of other people tell me, well, Zeke Elliott got hit and knocked right down on that play too, and you don't... Hey, listen, I'm not exactly sure how the rules are written. I know that contact is allowed to be made within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and the Cowboys were on the 5-yard line, so any contact that a defender would have made with Zeke Elliott between the line of scrimmage and the goal line would have been legal contact. Now, if the rules state, I don't know how the rules written. I said this to somebody else. I don't know how the rules written, but if it's written that you aren't allowed to knock a guy down, sure. If you are allowed to make contact with a guy though within 5 yards. So if that contact causes him to go to the ground and it's not a penalty, then it shouldn't have been called. However, if the rule is you're allowed to make contact, but if you knock the guy down, then yeah, I fully agree. That should have been called too, and it goes right to furthering my point that there's been a lot of missed calls and a lot of bad missed calls and a lot of calls. I mean, just a few weeks ago, the Eagles had like 14 penalties for 100 some odd yards. I mean, it's just, I'm not saying it's lopsided. I'm not saying it's an excuse for losing. I'm just saying it's something the NFL, I think, in my opinion, needs to look at. That's all I was trying to say. So with that being said, I want to go into the last thing that I want to say in this video, and that's a huge shout out and thank you to DesertEagle90. Because it's been a real pleasure hearing from you, hearing your comments on the videos, on Twitter now too. And he even gave me a plug tonight. He was telling his followers to start following me and for people to start subscribing to my channel. So I'm not expecting this to blow up into anything huge. I'm not, it'd be great if I could get some followers. What I said to Desert Eagle was that I just love football and I love talking football with people. Anybody that wants to talk football, I'll gladly sit down and talk football with you. So that's kind of what this is about. If it turns into something great and people want to listen to me and hear what I have to say, fantastic. If not, I'm not expecting it to. So with that being said, just a big shout out and a huge thank you to Desert Eagle. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit, hearing some of the things you have to say in your videos as well. Chatting with you a little bit on Twitter, and like I said to you when I messaged you earlier, I'm really looking forward to talking football with you as we move forward. So just want to thank you for that, and I want to thank everybody who's been commenting on the last video. I know 100 comments and 5,000 views is nothing compared to some other people out there who have thousands of subscribers and 100,000 views and all this other stuff. It's a big deal for me though. So with that being said, just wanted to thank Desert Eagle for his support, and the people who are now starting to follow me. I've had like 3 or 4 other people start following me on Twitter now, and I've had like another 10 subscribers today on YouTube. So I just want to thank everybody who's watching and supporting from this. I even want to thank those who are giving me flack and saying horrible, nasty things. You're entitled to do that, and I invite any and all comments to my channel. So with that being said, those are my thoughts for tonight, and thank everybody for watching, and I will be posting probably a couple videos on Sunday. One is a preview to the game, the Giant game, and then I'll try and do a post game as well. So thanks everybody for watching. As always, fly Eagles fly. Bam.